How you doing? My name is Orlando Arocena. I go by the name of Mexifunk. I'm a vector artist, and I tend to do a lot of movie posters. Well, I got involved. It was kind of a dual show type of explanation. I was doing a bunch of work for a bunch of playtime with Fox previously. I had done a 19-piece series a few years ago for their horror line.
Oh, yes.
In collaboration with celebrating Day of the Dead. So they allowed me to do a whole bunch of Mexican motif stylized pieces for like Child's Play and Carrie and wow, there's quite a long list. It just keeps on going on. But through that, I ended up doing some work and some commissions with them for Alien and for an extensive work of the XMen series and this property. And then I also am represented and do a lot of fun with the Poster Posse. So they also have the same mutual friends. So whenever Fox calls up, I'm basically making a party out of it. Ooh, from start to finish?
Unless you have like a...
It's pretty involving. I mean, it's a lot of people tend to think, oh man, you get like behind stage access to all the fun. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes we'll get like, we'll sign a stack of NDAs and agreements, you know, to have some type of security that I'm not going to go rampant with like sharing the movie with anybody. But most of the times it's basically using the same leverage of creative assets that are out there in the media. Trailers, hype, visual hypes or insider scoops within certain blogs and e-zines. And with this time, what they did was that they actually sent me behind the scene stills, photos of each of the characters and some of the plots, and they sent me a synopsis. And, you know, I'm a big fan of the comic book series. So I was able to correlate, okay, well, let's see if this type of visual representation will jive with the audience. And it was a really great and unique way that we got to play, because they actually called me up wanting to play and do a limited poster set for Dragon Con out in California. And I was like, all right, cool. So I did a whole bunch of sketches of that, sent it in, and then they're like, all right, we're going to take this one. And then a few months later, they're like, hey, X-Men Day's coming up. Can we get that one over there? Can you finish that in time? You know, busy guy, but I'm like, yeah, X-Men, yeah, no problem. Let's finish it up. So we did that, and then after that, what they ended up doing was like, hey, you know, another team within Fox Entertainment called up, and they're like, hey, we really want to do something significant for the DVD and Blu-ray release, which is coming up on right around the corner, September 7th and 17th.
Yeah.
Right? So they're like, hey, we want to do something special, and we want to invite you to be part of it, part of this initiative, this creative initiative. I was like, yeah, what do you want? And at that point, you know, me as an individual, I'm basically scrapping, you know, my brain going, what else can I do? I just sent you guys a whole bunch, and we just did a whole series of it. And then finally they're like, hey, we leave it up to you. And often at times when being a collaborative piece with such a large entity like, you know, Fox Home Entertainment, it's a sign of relief, you know. But I love collaborating with the team. So what I ended up creating was something where I brought a little bit of my nostalgia and the legacy of what was the comic book series with what I, you know, was allowed to use from the movie. And what I did was I basically placed kind of the trio, you know, with Jean in the middle, Jean Grey, and having the extreme polars.
Yeah.
You know, you got Magneto on one side, you got Xavier on the other, and they're looking at her kind of concerned, and she's just ready to rip right into it. And I didn't want her to represent her as in, like, I need to make a choice between, you know, the dark or the good. No, I wanted her to be just a standalone entity saying, yeah, now you guys need to drop whatever ism you guys were having with each other, because now I'm here. And, you know, she ends up being quite, the entity throughout the whole series from there on. I'll tell you what influences me most. It's not just individuals. I think it's a collaborative, really. I think what really influences me most from day one is culture. Culture comes in so many waves, tidal waves, really. Whether it's music or food or art, literature, fashion. I grew up in the Bronx, and between the Bronx and Mexico, there's a lot of space in between, But I remember growing up in the Bronx and being able to see back in the '80s the trains being bombarded with graffiti and writings and characters and all these little bubble letters that now you could find as fonts. Everything comes from culture, some stream of it. But there, standing on the platform, I see these trains pulling in and being just wowed, like, whoa. And then looking behind me at the billboards that are being advertised and seeing all the latest commercial series for like Coke and Nike, and then looking at the movie posters, the Struzans, and I'm like, oh man. And then just looking at the graffiti back and looking at that and going, oh man, this is awesome. So, there's I'm a big fan of art in general, fine art, but I think what really just hits home for me, and I'm a big fan of, is just reading in and visiting as much culture as I can to go, okay, you know what? Let me almost like a chef. Let me pluck a little bit of this spice, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, throw it into a jambalaya, and make something significant and unique out of it. But still in the context of what's being requested from me. Honestly, oh man, I geek out about anything and everything that is well within context. Everything from the surreal to science, tech. I love technology. I love science. I love the mixture of that with culture and art, and then what seems to just unravel and really, you know what? Scratch that. That's true. That's totally true. I'm a geek about toys. That's it. I love toys as well. So anything and everything within this culture of creativity.